Alabama might be the team to beat Alabama. Well, as much as I hate them.
Yeah. But at least they're at home. At least it's in Knoxville.
You ready?
Good evening, everyone. It's February 11th, 2025. It is 6 o'clock on the dot and time to call to order this meeting of the City of Gallatin Council Committee. We will start with the roll call, and Ms. Danielle, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Vice Mayor Hayes.
Present?
Councilman Alexander.
Present.
Councilman Carter.
Present.
Councilman Fan.
Here.
Councilman Fennell.
Here.
Councilman Jones.
Here.
And Councilman Javance. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. There are no minutes for your consideration this evening, right? I don't think so. Okay, so we will move on now to public recognition. This being a council committee meeting, all public comment is at the beginning of the meeting, so you can speak before the meeting to anything that is on the agenda or something that's not on the agenda. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. We ask that you give us your name and your address for the record. And I think that is all. Public comment is open.
I didn't want you to have to wonder whether somebody was coming up.
Appreciate that.
Renee Saunders, 2092 Rodman Boulevard. I just wanted to say kudos to whoever had the magical idea to get News Channel 5 involved with the census. And I don't know, I watch news habitually, and they've been running the story Friday evening, and then they ran it on Saturday morning, and I think they ran it again on Monday. So I don't know whose idea that was. Thank you very much. And also, is her name Jenna? The redhead lady did a very nice job, and I know there was somebody from the Gallatin Chamber of Commerce that was on the report as well, but
I think it was Gracie, wasn't it Gracie?
Yes, maybe
She's
so.
actually the census, like, in charge of the census.
Well, it was a stroke of genius, and hopefully, okay, maybe, am I ingratiating too much? I thought it was wonderful. And it's, of course, always nice to see our city on the news for something good and not something terrible. But it was a really good idea, and hopefully it'll get us up to the numbers that we need to be at. And just to let you know, I made sure that the other person in my family who has a residence in Gallatin has already done her census work. And I met someone new from Gallatin over Super Bowl Sunday, and I asked her to please consider filling out the census as well. So thank you very much.
So much. Anyone else wishing to speak this evening? Okay, seeing no one, public recognition is closed. And I will respond to what you said, because we always try to get the media engaged with many things, but getting them to bite sometimes just not so easy. I was particularly excited to see that also News Channel 5, but there was more than one station there, actually covered the Night to Shine at Northfield Church in Gallatin, which was also last Friday night. And I just want to use this opportunity to say that that was phenomenal. I've gone several years in the past, but this year they actually, I think in years past, they've had like 100, I think maybe 165 or 175 attendees. And this year they took it up to 230 attendees for the Night to Shine. And 950 volunteers they used to pull that event off. And it was the first time I'd really toured kind of like the behind the scenes, where they're feeding the people and getting hair done and nails done and pictures taken and all the flowers put on. It is such the operation, and we should all be so proud that that happens right here in Sumner County, and that a church that's located in Gallatin. For those who don't know, it's the Tim Tebow Night to Shine, and it is a special prom for people with special needs, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I didn't see a single person without a smile on their face Friday night. I think everyone, a few parents were a little teary, but everyone was so happy and enjoying it so much. And I just really appreciate the effort that goes into that by Northfield and all those who participate in it. Census, thank you. Want to remind people, Mr. Carter brought to my attention today, he's been making calls. I'm so grateful for that. But please spread the word that we are in the final push on the census. That means that everybody is working on it. People are calling like crazy. People are still knocking doors. If you do get a call and they say they are trying to collect your information for the census, it should be legitimate. No one should be getting any information from you over the telephone beyond your name and your address. Census does not want your social security number, your credit card number, your mama's maiden name, or anything like that. So don't be answering any questions like that for anybody, whoever calls you. But we are making calls for the census now. Want to mention a few upcoming events. The American Red Cross Blood Drive on the 12th, Civic Center, 11 to 4. There's a Valentine's Candlelight Tour at Rosemont happening on Valentine's Day from 8 to 10 p.m. Winter Farmers Market at the station across the street happening this Saturday, 9 a.m. until 1. Monday is President's Day. There is a Sumner County Extension Services hike for heart health out at Bledsoe Creek State Park. That's at 1 p.m. It might be a nice outing on that day if you're off from work. The 22nd, two great education fundraisers, one for Sumner Academy. They're having their dinner and auction at Epic Event Center. And the Gallatin Shalom Zone is having its sneaker ball. So if you'd like to attend either of those, follow up with the organizations. On the 23rd is the Volunteer State Archaeological Society of Tennessee Artifact Show at the Civic Center. That's from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. And then on the 24th and on the 27th, there are more blood drives happening at the Civic Center. Again, that time is 11 to 4. Coming up on the 28th, it's the legislative update that's happening with Representatives Lambert, Hale, Garrett, and Slater at the station at 7:30. A reminder that reservations are required for that. American Legion has their breakfast on March 1st. The TML Legislative Conference, department heads, city council members, if you're interested in attending, let us know. It's past the deadline, but I know people, and maybe we can still get you in if you want to go. That happens on the 3rd and 4th. Downtown at the Doubletree Hotel. And then on the 6th, Chuck Stewart's birthday. And that's it. That's all. With that, we will move on to the regular agenda. Item number 1 is Ordinance 02502-9, an ordinance appropriating insurance recovery in the amount of $1,750 for replacement of brick mailbox at Gallatin Public Works, hit for the 3rd time this year. Is that what you said?
2 years.
2 years, okay.
As the evening council, as the mayor said, this is, we've recovered the insurance money from the driver that hit the mailbox. So we're just moving it from insurance recoveries into our operating budget to get the mailbox built.
So he had insurance and we're getting it.
Correct.
Excellent.
Motion to send it on to council.
Motion by Vice Mayor Hayes, second by Councilman Fennell. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Thank you, Mr. DePriest. Item 2 is Ordinance 02502-10, an ordinance appropriating funds for required safety footwear. Ms. Nichols, Finance Director.
Thank you. The Safety Committee met a couple of years ago and identified some key positions that needed to wear safety footwear to help cut down on workers' comp claims, keep the employee safe. They made that mandatory, and since it's mandatory, the city felt like they need to be purchasing the footwear. The initial purchase, we had some funds from PEP they had sent for safety programs, and we funded it that way. Going forward, the Safety Committee would like for you to agree to let them have the money that is generated when we sell surplus property to fund the safety footwear. And what this request is for, to take $100,000 that we anticipate receiving for sale of surplus property and set it up in an account where we can purchase the employee footwear.
Questions regarding that from Ms. Nichols?
We have an idea of how much that's going to be total.
Each employee is limited to $200 per year, assuming the footwear doesn't fail. If they happen to get a lemon pair, they'd be able to get a second pair. But assuming footwear lasts, they're given a budget of $200 per year.
Now, which employees it applies to? Councilman Javance?
Thank you, Mayor. What the plan be in case we don't have enough money on the surplus?
This would definitely get us through the end of this fiscal year. Going forward, we plan to put it in the budget. And so when you approve the budget in April, May for the following year, this figure will already be included in it. If for some reason that account goes over, we would come back and ask for additional appropriation.
So not just for this year?
That's what we anticipate for a full year. If you want to change that to 50,000, since we're already halfway through the year, we could do that, but we've generated in excess of 100,000 in sale of surplus property for the past 3 or 4 years.
Thank you.
Motion to send it on.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Carter, second by Councilman Juvance. We had it in departmental budgets for at least this past year,
This
maybe
past
2
year, we
years.
had it in departments.
Yeah, so it's something we're committed to funding. It's just the best place to do it, and to dedicate surplus funds seems like a good place to go with those funds. Also, we'll keep that push and pull from happening where some departments want surplus funds back, and we're like, wait, it needs to go here. You've got in your budget what you need. So this makes sense. Motion and second, all in favor of sending ordinance 02502-10 forward, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Moves forward unanimously. Item 3 is Resolution R2502-5. This is a 6th supplemental resolution to the master resolution pertaining to water and sewer revenue obligations, authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $30,200,000 in aggregate principal amount of water and sewer system revenue improvement bonds, Series 2025 of the City of Gallatin, making provision for the issuance, sale, and payment of said bonds, and establishing the terms thereof and the disposition of proceeds therefrom. Ms. Nichols again.
Thank you. This is the first phase of the new water treatment plant. This will be for the new raw water intake that we will need. When we do our TDEC scorecard around our water system, the age of our water treatment plant is always something that we get dinged on. And so Mr. Kellogg has come up with a long-term plan, and this will be phase 1 of that. We've received our certificate approval from TDOT for the intake.
We've received our TDEC approval and our core permit.
I knew I'd get the wording wrong, sorry. Core permit and TDOT, or TDEC certification to do the intake, and now we need to start constructing it, so. This would be a 25-year bond issue, which is standard for a utility district.
Considering this one is how many years old? You can answer from your
It was
seat.
built in 1954.
Okay, 1954, so 70 years?
Gotten our use out of it.
Did you want to add anything to that?
Well, just a couple of numbers. You know, last year, the water plant treated over 3 billion gallons of water. So that pump station pumped over 3 billion gallons of water out of the lake through the plant into the system. So 70 years old. It's been updated a couple times with some new electrical, but it's end of life for its time. We do get dinged on our scorecard. It was identified in our asset management. It was identified in our risk and resiliency assessment. It's time for an upgrade.
Exciting. I mean, I personally find it very exciting that we've taken something and kept it that long, serving the needs over such a long period of time. Motion by Councilman Fan.
Second.
Second by Councilman Fennell. Open the floor for questions or discussion. Mr. Juvance.
Thank you, Mayor. That's for Rachel. I read the bond, and the only issue I have with that is on the definition of the project, because you just tell us it's for the new plant, but the definition of the project is extension and improvements to the system. That's pretty vague, so I want to make sure that money goes to the plant and can't supplement anything else. So is there any way we can put the project what it is, instead of just a vague, because, you know, extension and improvement to the system, I mean, if tomorrow we decide to use that money for something else, we could, technically.
We typically, you can be as restrictive or as vague as you would like. we typically make it very general, specifically for something of this size. We may run into rock that we weren't planning on. We may run into some contingencies that weren't planned for. But as long as it's going towards the water system in some form, then we don't have to come back and have you approve another bond or another resolution. We don't have to go back to the people that we borrow from and update with them. That's just how we typically word it, but yes, you can change that to read however you would like.
Having the freedom to allocate dollars actually gets you using those dollars more quickly. We have had issues with money sitting there for years that we're paying interest on, and there's really no sense in that. And so, say we do have some delay, to be able to go ahead and program those dollars we're paying interest on, it's helpful. And
If something unusual happens and the actual construction cost comes in way under budget, then we're free to go ahead and move on to phase 2 because it's still part of the extension and improvement to the water system for that building and that structure. So you can do either.
If I go back to what you said, if we go under budget, we can come back and change it. I think I would feel more comfortable seeing the amount of bond on the capital improvement request was going to be on the next 10 years. I think it's a little more than $200 million. I would feel more comfortable if we had a better definition on what it's going to be used for. And if it's going to be used for the water plant, I think we should issue the bond for the water plant and not just because, you know, I don't feel comfortable having an open blank check on the system and the money could be used for something else, and now we have to come back and get more money for the plant. That's how I think.
anyone else with any comments or questions? Okay, this is Resolution R2502-5. All in favor of moving forward, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. And does move forward unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. And item 4 is Resolution R2502-4, resolution authorizing the Parks and Recreation Department to apply for a Lowe's Hometown Grant. Mr. Brown, Parks and Rec Director.
Yes, we'd like to apply for this Lowe's Hometown Grant. We're going to apply for 3. It's up to $300,000. We're putting 3 in, hoping that one of the 3 will be chosen. They rank them, so that's what we are requesting.
Motion to move to council.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Javant, second by Councilman Alexander. Any questions, any discussion? Seeing none, this is Resolution R2502-4. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Moves forward unanimously. That's our regular agenda, folks, and we come now to other business. Does anyone of this body have other business? Mr. Javant.
Thank you, Mayor. We talked about a few weeks ago about the rail on Concord Drive. Do you have an update on that, please? So you will look into it, so.
We did meet about it. We talked about it. I don't think that it's anything that the city could invest dollars in. I think that if the homeowners and the developer and the association all agreed to do it, that, you know, we certainly would allow that to be built. But as we looked at that, where it was, how it would, you know, impact property owners, that all needs to be on them. That doesn't need to be the city doing that. Because you would, you know, change people's yards. But if they want that, like I said, the homeowners, the association, and the developer, I think we would certainly allow them to do that.
Thank you, Mayor. And my second question, when we talk about the CIP, I can mention the hotel tax money to invest. So I would like to know if that's something we could do Rachel, I don't know if you can look
No,
into that.
no, don't ask it. What's the question about CIP?
About the hotel tax money to
What about it?
reinvest on the soccer, on the trout property for the soccer staff. Is that something we could do?
I mean,
I
potentially.
don't have it in front of me, but the ordinance that the council passed regarding the occupancy tax states that it must be used for tourism purposes. And it's, when we dig into the state and their definition of tourism, they are specific in that it's not for use of residences, it is for use that will draw new people into town. So
So if we build a soccer complex and we have tournament, that's going to bring people into town, so we could probably use it for that.
that's something that
No,
you
that-
will have
that-
to debate.
on-
I'm not
yeah.
stepping into that one, sorry.
No, I know, I know.
That's
I would
not my
just,
wheelhouse.
I would just, that could be,
For the majority of the year, it's going to be used by Gallatin residences, Gallatin children. That's going to be a hard sell, in my opinion, but that's my opinion only.
okay.
There's some, if I may, I think, if I'm not mistaken, our neighboring city, Hendersonville, uses some of their money.
They're set up differently than we are.
Are they?
Yes.
So we'd have to go back in and set it up? Is that what we'd have to do? I mean, we don't have to
That's
get...
something we would have to research to know if we can even do that, if the state would allow us to do that at this point.
Could you please do that when you have a minute?
No hurry.
No worry, but at least we have an idea. Because we have that money sitting there we don't use, and if we can use
Using
it
some
for...
of it to support
Yeah.
our tourism initiatives, but we've had a lot of discussions about things it could be used for when the opportunity is there. But we also don't bring in that much, certainly not enough to do what you're talking about with soccer, so.
No, but that could be a piece of it. That could be a piece of it.
I'm sorry.
A
It could be a
piece.
piece of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
Anyone
Thank you,
else?
Mayor.
Anyone else with any other business?
Hey, I just want to tell street department and the stormwater I just want to thank them for the work they did over on Alpha Drive for getting in the creek and cleaning it out. They had a little flooding over at Alpha Drive over the weekends.
Really busy.
Yeah.
I noticed utilities contractors were out there today fixing some things, or somebody was. So thank them very, very much for that. Yeah, we're having a lot of rain. A lot more coming.
We'll get 6 inches between now and Saturday.
But,
Yeah.
all right, move to department head reports. What you all got? Anything? Nobody's even looking this direction. I think that's a fast track to adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 6:23 PM and we are adjourned. Have a good night. Try and stay dry. Good night.